part of the Independent News Media Network. This is the Disclosure Podcast. I am Logan B. Anderson, the managing editor of the Daily State News, and this is our Disclosure Podcast where we talk about issues and important topics that have maybe a little behind-the-scenes look about how things work and how they impact our communities and impact us. We are super excited today to have our guest with us, our very first guest on the Disclosure Podcast, Dr. Dina Vendetti, the president of the Central Delaware Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber is a huge partner for us. You can see their news weekly with their column called the Chamber Connection, which is the same name as your regular newspaper. It's exciting to have Dina here with us. So you want to just introduce yourself and say hi to our fans and followers?
Absolutely. Hi, fans and followers. I'm Dina Vendetti, just like Logan said. I'm president of the Central Delaware Chamber of Commerce. I'm very excited to be here. The Daily State News is a wonderful member of ours, a cornerstone member, and we have developed a really good partnership. And it's just been beneficial, I think, on both sides of the fence. So I'm excited. I was excited when you called and said, could you come over?
Nice.
And if there had been something on my calendar, I would have. So anyway, here we are.
That's awesome. So, in this podcast, we talk about issues and things, but we kind of talk about with a scope of from our side of things. We've talked about our projects that we've done. That we talked about breast cancer, and we did this really great thing where we profiled survivors, and we had some reporters come in and talk about how those stories impacted them. We had some fun episode where we just talked about ghost stories that were happening all over it. It was really fun. So I was talking about, how to bring guests on. You're the first person I thought of because to fit into that program, there's so much going on with the chamber, and you guys do so much, but I don't know if everybody knows what you guys do. And I feel like the term Chamber of Commerce is something that everybody's heard their whole life, but they don't know exactly what that means. So I guess that's kind of my first question. What's a Chamber of Commerce?
That's an excellent question, and you are absolutely right. There are people everywhere who have no idea what a Chamber of Commerce is, and until I became involved with the Chamber of Commerce, I was one of them. That's my confession for today. Right. That's it. But yeah, when I got into this office a couple of years ago as the president, people wanted to be very excited for me and congratulations, but they had no idea what I had gotten into. And so the question was, what's a chamber? It's a chamber. And so I had to really think long and hard because, there is so much about the chamber. And you always want to answer their question before they get all glazed over, know. So the word I keep coming back to again and again is the word connections. The chamber is a place that makes connections for people. Okay, so we connect people to things that will help them to be successful and to grow. At the Central Delaware Chamber of Commerce, we do that really in 4 basic areas that we call our pillars. So we connect people to opportunities to learn things, new business trends, new ways to market, new advertising, what's coming up, a way to do something, skills, a variety of things through workshops and webinars and seminars and stuff.
Right.
So education is something that's big. Our leadership program falls under that, which you're very familiar with.
Yeah.
We also connect people to legislators and legislation. We are a lobbying chamber, and we lobby for business-friendly legislation, and so we connect people to people who are creating policy that's going to impact them and affect what they're doing. And we want those legislators to be as informed as possible, so we make that connection. We connect people to ways to tell their story.
Right.
Which is really fun to do.
Yeah.
We're good at telling other people's story. I'm glad for this opportunity because we're not as good at telling our own story. So there's that.
Right.
But that's called marketing. So that's the another area. And then the last is the most fun. That's connecting people to each other in networking. And so really we are kind of a hub for making connections for people so that they grow and thrive.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about some of the programs you do. So can you talk a little bit more about those kinds of things? What programs do you offer?
Oh my goodness, we have so many programs. We have a Leadership Central Delaware that's the diamond program of the Chamber. We
Yep.
always talk about that first because it is, it's just a gem.
And it is a phenomenal program. The editor's note is that I am a graduate of that program in class of 2023.
That's right.
Yep.
And the president's note is that I'm a graduate of that program from 2004. So the program has been going for, 23 years.
Yeah.
The program is a 10-month leadership program that takes a class of no more than 28 behind the scenes in Kent County so that they can spend time learning about the various industries that are the economic drivers in our area.
Yeah.
And they meet with CEOs and they go in places where the average Joe person doesn't get to go.
Right.
And they do things that are just phenomenal experiences. They get to take when it works out, they can take a flight in a C-5
Yeah.
to see a refueling mission in the air. They can go into the casino security room and watch on the cameras. They can go behind the scenes in some of the kitchens. They get all the stuff, and they get a real insider behind the curtain peek at what it takes to make those operations happen.
Yeah.
And to understand the leadership skills and leadership strategies that are employed by the people who run those operations.
Yeah.
And so that's just a phenomenal program. I could talk all day about that. We have several smaller programs. We do a coffee coaching program, which is members teaching members. So somebody signs up and says, hey, I had a great new idea. I tried it. It worked. Here's the stuff that you have to keep in mind before you start it. Here's the way to do it. Here's what you can expect. That's a totally virtual program. It's a Zoom once a month and free with your membership fee. It's a member benefit. And people walk away from that with all kinds of gems. Plus, before and after, we try to start it early and let it go a little longer so there's some networking time. We have another program that is sometimes in person and sometimes virtual. It's like every other.
Right.
And that's called the Professional Power Up. And that's really geared at our younger members. A big emphasis of mine is to really pay attention to the younger end of our membership. Like everywhere,
Sure.
our membership is graying.
Right.
It just
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Right? And so in order to make sure that our chamber stays strong and healthy and prepare for the future, we really need to be bringing in young people with new ideas and fresh perspective and all of that. So the Professional Power Up, again, features a speaker. There's a lot of networking, and the topics are geared towards our younger sector of members, although that younger sector of members did not want to put an age bracket on the program.
Oh, wow.
They were interested in having whoever comes. The topic drives the audience.
Right.
And so it's not always all young people, but the emphasis is on growing our younger members.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have a membership orientation program where we bring people in. It's not just for new members because there are so many benefits to chamber membership that you can't remember them all. And things change.
Sure.
So we urge people to come to that maybe once a year and just check in, make sure they're plugged in, because really all we want is for people to get what's coming to them.
Yeah.
We want you to get a good return on your investment so that your business grows and adds to what is the business community here in Kent County. We have a variety. Oh my gosh, I'm struggling here with the programming because it's a lot.
Right.
One of the most important programs that we do is our 5-star Journey Map program. When members join the chamber, the best thing we can do with them is to encourage engagement. Because if you don't become engaged with what's happening and take advantage of those benefits, you're not getting what you paid for.
Right.
And so we have this program where we get new members to commit to 8 stops, or 8 activities. There are stops on their journey map that they will complete over the next year. It can be attending an event, sponsoring an event, participating in an event. It can be buying an ad. It can be, there are so many choices.
Sure.
And we want them to do that over a year's time because it builds a habit.
Yeah.
And if you build that habit of engagement, chances are pretty good you're going to hang around.
Yeah, that's a
right?
fantastic idea.
Yeah, and at the end of their map, we celebrate them at a mixer. We call them up front, announce them as a new 5-star member. They get a pin. They get their picture in the paper.
Nice, yeah.
So it's really a cool program. So that's another
awesome.
one. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what does it take to run a chamber? You've got a lot going on. I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. I mean, besides the programs, we didn't even talk about the events.
Oh, sure.
So
Right.
there are 75 events and activities that happen every year.
Right.
And in order to make our chamber go, we have to have a really good team.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. 75 events and activities a year. We have 5 staff members in person full time and 1 part-timer that works remotely from Michigan. So we
Wow.
also have an auxiliary team called volunteers, and
Yeah.
we have more than 100 active volunteers. We're so grateful for them. And hopefully, we run like a well-oiled machine when things are all clicking the right way, the way
Right.
they're supposed to. And, people are coming to events, they're happy, they're having fun, and at the same time, they're growing their business. And that's really what we want to see. And I think that's paramount, to have a really strong, active team. Our volunteer group includes our board of directors, and they are very engaged. And then the other piece of it is to have an engaged membership, a group of people who really want to do the things that are necessary to help their business thrive, and to take
Right.
advantage of all those benefits that they're paying for. And so if you have those few things together, you're golden.
Yeah.
So I think that's really what it takes.
Well, you and the chamber were just in the news recently, in proof that you guys are a well-oiled machine. You guys got some serious accreditation. Do you want to talk about that?
Do I want to talk about that? I haven't stopped grinning for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So our chamber is the only accredited chamber in the state of Delaware. And what that means is that we volunteer to go through a process with the United States Chamber of Commerce where they take a look at what we're doing, and they help us to make sure that we're doing the very best we can with what we have, right?
Right.
And so they're looking for 2 things. They're looking for, are you doing things that are appropriate for chambers to do? And more than that, are you doing what you say you do? Because you can say anything, right?
Right.
So accreditation happens every 5 years, and the chamber has been accredited since, I want to say 1971, but it could be 1979.
Okay.
Let's just say the chamber's been accredited for a long time.
Right.
And in 2013, the chamber achieved 5-star accreditation for the first time. And that is a really big deal, because what that means is that beyond the accreditation, which involves a self-study and a lot of documentation, but I want to be careful about how I talk about that, because accreditation isn't, the meat of it isn't really the accreditation process, which is cumbersome and tedious and, time-consuming and all of those things. It is that.
Right.
But the accreditation is about what happens every day. It's about the work that gets done every single day to help our members. But once you complete that process, you have the option of going for a star accreditation, and you can go for 3, 4, or 5. And that just means extra stuff beyond the regular accreditation.
Right.
And so the United States Chamber of Commerce compares us to all of the chambers that have been deemed the best chambers in the country.
Wow.
And they have a rating system. And if you get enough points on their rating system, you get stars.
Right.
So you can get 3 or 4 or 5. Of course, we overachievers, I thought we should have 6, but they stopped me. I'm tempted to draw one in. But with 5 stars, that's the highest designation you can receive.
Right.
And so we did that again this year. We did that in 13 and 18. This was the year. We went for the 5-star accreditation. Of course, this is my first time
Right.
in the seat. And, I was biting my fingernails. I was like, we can't lose a star right now. This
Right.
would be bad. So we received word that we indeed had achieved our 5-star accreditation. And in the chamber world, that's the best thing that can happen, you
Right.
know. And it's, I just want to give this, it's really cool that they look at us and they compare us to all the other chambers. The other thing that's really cool is that when anyone in the country, any chamber in the country, decides to go for a 5-star accreditation, who do you think they compare them to? It's us,
Right, yeah.
right? So that's really cool news as well.
Right.
And yeah, we just received our plaque, you know, that we'll put on the wall, and that's great. And it was in the paper, wonderful article. That was great, and we're happy to be bragging about it because it's fun to do.
Right, yep.
But really what matters is that it shows our members that they're getting the highest quality programming that they can get in the chamber world.
Right.
And that should be a really good insurance policy.
Sure.
You know, that they're getting a good return on their investment. It speaks to our accountability and our credibility and,
Right.
you know, all of that. I should give you some numbers just because
I was going to
I
say,
should give
because you
you some
told me some
numbers.
pretty exciting numbers.
in the country there are about 7,000 chambers of commerce. And I'm surprised about this. Today, there are 199 that are accredited.
Wow.
And I'm surprised that number isn't higher.
Sure.
And I know there are lots of reasons for it. There are many chambers who have a much smaller staff than we do,
Right.
or, you know, everybody runs differently. So
Sure.
there's no judgment. I'm just surprised.
Yeah.
Of those 199, 146 are 5-star accredited chambers.
Wow.
So 146 out of 7,000 chambers puts us in the top 2% of chambers in the country.
Yeah.
And that's where you drop the mic, right?
Most definitely. That's awesome. Congratulations on
Thank you.
such an amazing achievement.
Thank you.
So really, kind of the last question is, how do people get to know you? Where can they find you?
Absolutely. You can find us at www.cdcc.net. You can call us at 302-734-7513. Or you can visit us at 435 North DuPont Highway. Come inside, turn left, and go up the steps.
That's awesome. Dina, thank you so much for coming to be a part of our Disclosure podcast. We are excited to continue our relationship and all the great
Absolutely.
stuff that we're going to do in the future. So you can find us wherever you find your podcasts, and on YouTube and on our website, betabaynews.com. So thanks again, and thank you, Dina.
Thanks, Logan. Thanks for the invite.
All right. I think we're good.